Greetings gamers, I'm Mark.
And I'm Manuel.
And welcome to Tabletop Throwdown. Manuel, how you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing good, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic, thank you. Especially fantastic because we have some sealed product here from Heroclix, Marvel Rise and Fall.
Cool.
We're going to be looking at that today.
Very cool. How much of a superhero fan are you?
Ironically, not much at all. I've probably read about 10 graphic novels in my entire life. Couldn't name any characters. And then recently saw The Suicide Squad, the newest film, at the drive-in, and I'm intrigued now. It really caught my interest. So the movies are doing their job.
Very cool, very cool. Well, I have probably just basic knowledge of the superhero genre myself. Read the occasional comic book growing up, saw the occasional TV show. I've seen some of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, Iron Man and such. So I have fairly basic knowledge. I'm not a super fan, but like you, I'm intrigued and I'm interested in the genre.
Right on.
So, have you ever played a Click-based game before?
Yes, way back in the day, but as for Heroclix itself, this particular brand, I started with a girlfriend at the time. We played the Star Trek Tactics Heroclix, which were the flying spaceships for Star Trek, and that was a blast because it was fast moving, didn't lock things up too much. There was a lot of interplay with it, which was good times. And then later, a buddy of mine and I from work, we started playing it, and he ran DC or Marvel teams, but since I wasn't into that, I was able to run like Undead or a whole squad of SWAT officers. And it was fun to have such a versatile IP that we could kind of play it our own way. We really liked that. Then his stuff got stolen. So there's that.
That's too bad. Well, as you know, the Click's game system got its start back in November of 2000 with the Mage Knight system, or the Mage Knight game.
That was my first game with my son. Our first war game ever.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There was even a Mage Knight store in Germany. It was
Fantastic.
called Mage Knight. It sold nothing but Mage Knight. I don't know how many years it lasted, but that was a huge franchise, wasn't it?
Really cool. Yeah. Yes, it was. It was very big indeed. Over the years, after Mage Knight was released, various sub-variants of the game came out, such as Mech Warrior, for example, which was a game that I played quite a bit back in the day.
So much.
Especially
yes, I loved it.
Especially in the early tournament scene. That was a lot of fun. And then eventually, Heroclix came out, which became a big hit for WizKids, and it endures to this day. Now, the Click-based concept, which is formally called the Combat Dial system, involves characters on rotating bases, dial bases. The Click base is called the Combat Dial, and the base rotates to show changing stats, attack, defense, speed, and damage dealt. Color codes indicate special abilities and powers. As simple as this concept sounds, it makes for a very strategic game with a lot of tactical depth and nuance that still plays quickly.
All right, Manuel, you ready to see what Heroclix looks like these days?
Absolutely. There's been some big changes. What does a new player need to start playing Heroclix?
Ideally, they want to pick up the Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary Starter Set. It's a nice box kit, has hard tiles that are double-sided and modular, and all the components you need to play.
And what is a Fast Forces set?
Fast Forces is a themed set aimed at new players with slightly less complex stat lines and abilities versus what maybe you might pull out of a booster box. And there's some synergy in the team itself. So it's great for a new player to bring to a local shop to play. Really, casually, two people can even split this and have a small match.
Fantastic. Let's get started.
Sounds good. Packaged in here pretty well. Get these guys out.
Wow, those look really nice. Get some of this packaging off of here.
Yep, clear that out of the way.
Right. So we have here 6 figures in the package, and then we have a pack of double-sided powers and abilities cards. So why don't you go ahead and take some of those out, Mark?
All right. Set the stat cards aside here for a second, and let's go ahead and just start with the first one. This guy right here, Professor X. What a sinister pose he has. He's just pointing at his face so sinisterly there.
It looks to me almost like he's pensive or thinking, or maybe even using his psychic powers.
Yeah. Or just daring someone to hit him.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let's see what we have here. Polaris.
Polaris. I'm not familiar with that character. I'm showing some ignorance of the Marvel Cinematic Universe here, but very nice looking figure in a green scheme.
I can barely pronounce it, so you're good, man. You're good. Oh, this one's a little tight in here. Trick to opening them that I saw in the past is to press a little bit from the underneath so that they don't. Yeah, this is actually glued in here so that they don't break when you open it up.
I see. So this character is Marvel Girl. Very nice sculpt, action pose for her.
What do you think of the paints on these?
The paint quality looks quite nice given my experience with these. I have an older style figure here, and you can see some of the big differences between the older style figures and these newer scenic base figures. First of all, the scenic base figures have the scenic base, of course. They're also a larger scale. They're larger figures, which are easier to paint, and they're easier to produce in a quality paint scheme. So there's that.
You know, on the note of painting, that's one thing I wanted to mention is that for fans of this universe, there really is only one pre-painted option out there for a game, isn't there, right now?
Right now.
Yeah. You can play Marvel Crisis Protocol, but that requires a lot of assembly and a lot of painting. Totally different system. So it's good that this is out there for the fans.
Really cool.
Let's see what's next. I think this guy's my favorite. This is Havoc.
Havoc. Now that's an incredibly dynamic pose there with him throwing his fist or whatever it is that he's doing there. Really dynamic. Very nice paint. Great expression on his face.
Yes. Faces have improved. Back in the day, they really almost had stickers on the eyes. And at least they look like stickers. And it seems like they're getting the faces down a little bit better here.
Very cool.
Yeah. All right. One in the center. Warpath. Never heard of this guy before.
That's a new name to me as well. I've never heard of Warpath. Another great dynamic pose. Scale looks a little bit bigger. He looks like he's physically a bigger character than some of these other guys, some kind of giant. Really nice paint though. It looks really good. Face is very expressive. Really cool.
Lastly, we have Darwin.
Darwin, another one new to me. Again, very dynamic pose, really cool scenic base, that concrete or whatever that he's standing on. Nice expression there, very aggressive.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see how easily these turn here. Dials aren't sticky. Colors are pretty clear.
That's one of the things that's very different from the old style clicks. These older bases were notoriously difficult to click. This particular one happens to be fairly broken in, so it turns easily. But they used to be very hard sometimes to turn out of the box. These newer designs, the more recent ones, are much easier to turn.
People would even use rings on their finger that Heroclix would sell, that WizKids would sell, that would help you twist the dial with the ridges underneath. Long time ago.
With these newer ones, that's no longer necessary.
That is no longer necessary.
Let's have a look at the cards.
Yeah, let's take a look. All right.
So looking at the card itself, there's some very nice graphics involved. You have a nice clear image of the figure itself so that you can identify both by name as well as by visual inspection what the character is. You have a listing of his various abilities and powers, and on the back side you have a table listing basically the same statistics that are on the base. When you click through on the base, you're seeing these statistics one line at a time, and this table just lays them all out for you all in one place.
Which is nice. When the game first started years ago, they didn't even have cards with the figures, so you really had a hard time keeping track and having that visual aid of being able to see how your dial was degrading or increasing and when you're going to hit that KO mark.
Very cool.
All right.
Looking cool, looking really nice.
Looking good.
Okay, now it's time for us to turn our attention to the sealed boosters. Mark, what are some aspects of sealed booster packs?
Well, you don't know what you're getting, so it's a bit of a gamble, but it can be, a huge rush to pull a chase figure you've wanted or add to your team, in an unexpected way. It can be fun.
Cool. Now, of course, that means sometimes you'll wind up with stuff you don't want or need.
Yeah, I heard the term booster drop, meaning you regret buying that pack.
Gotcha. Now, these can also be used in sealed booster tournaments.
Yeah, sealed is when you purchase a few packs. You can do it at home. You can do it at your local shop. And you open them and build up your best team as possible. And then from there, you play, usually 2 to 4 turns or rounds of a game. And it comes down to some skill because you're using only the figures you have.
Awesome. And a single SKU makes it easier for retailers to carry the product without having to have lots of different kinds of packages to carry. So it makes life easier for retail.
Yeah, it really does. It's less guessing game for them to know what to purchase. And they just get the newest set. They get enough product that their customers want. And they go from there.
Cool. Let's get started.
Sounds good.
Mark, why don't you take the honors and do the first pack, please?
All right. Open up my plastic crack here, as it's sometimes referred to. And these out.
Okay.
Some interesting stuff already.
Very nice. Now my turn. Okay, and there we are. Mark, why don't you go ahead and take out your first figure?
All right, let's see what we got. All right, let's see what we have here first. We're looking at Wolverine. That's a classic sculpt right there.
That is a absolute classic comic book style Wolverine in the old yellow costume. Even I know that, and I don't know much about superheroes, but even I recognize him.
Yeah, glad I got that one.
I have here a Exodus is his name. I'm not at all familiar with this character. Really cool sculpt. He's a flyer. He's kind of hovering a little bit. You can see there's a clear stand there where he's kind of just hovering in the air. So he's a flying guy apparently. Really nice paint scheme. Looks cool.
All right, up next, Sentinel. And I forgot to check for the rarity on these to know which ones are is the rare or ultra rare figure and which ones are the commons and uncommons. But that guy's a beast, pretty tall.
Yeah, he looks pretty big. My next figure is Mystique, and I recognize Mystique particularly from the movies. I remember the old original X-Men movies, and I remember her for sure. Who could forget Mystique?
Yes.
Kind of a cool sculpt, kind of plain colors, black and blue, but very nicely executed, very nice base. Very cool looking.
Right on. I like that. This one's pretty vibrant. Caught my eye, blink, as soon as I got it out of the package. And they're doing cool things with some of the clear plastic now, which just makes it look really great.
That's a really neat effect that they're achieving with the clear plastics. It looks really good. My next figure is Dr. Moira Mctaggart. Moira Mctaggart. I have no idea who that is. Kind of an interesting sculpt. She's looking kind of quizzical there. Don't know much about her, but looks kind of cool.
Yeah, yellow is a hard color to pull off on any miniature, and so this one shows them struggling a little bit more with the paint schemes, but still an improvement over years gone past for sure.
I would say so. Yes.
Sabretooth. This guy's pretty gnarly. I like him. He looks really cool. He's number 17, 60 points. What do you think, Manuel?
Sabretooth. This is one that I recognize. Apparently, if I remember correctly, he's Wolverine's big arch nemesis from back in the day. I haven't seen him around in a long time. That is a very nice sculpt. Very action-packed, very dynamic.
Yeah. The base looks like it almost has like what the miniature painters would use for shading or a wash on it to give it a little bit more texture and a little bit of a different color at different angles.
Looks awesome.
A little shading, yeah.
My next character here is Raza, and I am completely unfamiliar with this character. He looks like some sort of genie or something with this hairstyle there. Kind of a nice paint scheme, a sort of a purple and blue kind of scheme that looks pretty interesting the way they've pulled it off.
It does, and that's like the biggest set of brass knuckles I've ever seen in my life right there.
Yeah, wicked.
All right, over here on this side, Corsair. See what number model this is. Number 32. This could possibly be a rare. I'm not sure. What do you think of this one?
This is pretty cool. In the superhero world, you don't often see heroes carrying weapons, and this guy is dual-wielding pistols or lasers of some sort, and he has a sword,
Yeah.
a cutlass no less, which is really kind of cool. And the smallest cape I've ever seen almost looks more like a scarf. I'm not at all familiar with this character. He's kind of interesting looking.
Yep, gonna be some fun matchups for sure.
And finally, something really interesting, I pulled a Warpath out of a blind pack. Remember, this was blind, I had no idea what was in the box. And if you'll recall, from when we opened up the Fast Force, there was a Warpath in that one. However, these are two different variants of Warpath. The one we got out of the Fast Force was a number 3 Warpath, and this Warpath that I pulled out of the booster is a number 4. Every Heroclix figure is uniquely numbered. Each number is unique, and so even though these are both Warpath, there's sort of two different variants or two versions of Warpath with different cards. And so we can look at the card here and maybe get a quick sense of what some of the differences are. And I can already tell you just by looking at the card, there are some differences in the special abilities, his special powers. The one that came out of the Fast Force has something called Keep Moving Forward, which is missing on the Warpath I just pulled out of the booster. And looking at the back of the card, the tables are different, which means their stats are different and their abilities are slightly different. So these are two, even though they look the same at first blush, they're very different figures with very different capabilities, and you would use them potentially very differently in the game, even though the sculpts look exactly the same. That's a very interesting feature of this game, that you could have multiple variants of the same figure, the same character, that could be used in different ways depending on which variant you have. It gives a lot of playability to the game where you have options. Well, I want to take this version of Warpath this time, and maybe I'll take that version of Warpath some other time in some other build. And you have that option in this game. It's really neat.
It's cool, and it gives some versatility to the Fast Forces pack too. So more experienced players that are still buying lots of boosters can get a different figure in there and still buy the Fast Forces.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Nice. Okay, and at last that brings us to our token set. Mark, what are the tokens used for?
Tokens are used to indicate when you've given an action to a character, to one of your models in Heroclix, whether you've given them 1 or 2, and then when you clear them, you remove the tokens.
Awesome, awesome. So what do you think of their appearance?
They look really nice. They're pretty vibrant. They also come with 2 cool dice, but I'd like to take a closer look.
Yeah, let's crack it open and see.
All right. We'll leave this here for a second.
Okay, so at my first comment in looking at these is that they have the appearance and the feel of a poker chip. So if you've ever handled a poker chip, you know exactly what these look and feel like. There's a nice graphic on the front of a character, and on the back side there is some kind of a table.
Token creatures.
Token creatures.
Yes. They may be related to the characters themselves or part of that current set. Nice.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So, nice hefty feel to them. They have that poker chip feel, nice and heavy. They'll stay put on a table. You put it down, they'll stay put where you put them. Very nice. And they're sized in just such a way that when you use them to indicate actions in a game, you can just place your character right on there, and you can see how it fits very nicely. We also have a couple of dice in the package. Just a standard 6-sided dice with a special symbol on the 6. Very nice. Seems like a very nice quality.
Yeah, I like them too. They're very durable. Looks like the paint won't chip or come off, or the sticker won't chip or come off. And these can be pretty limited and hard to get once the initial run sells. So if you really fancy the look of them on a new set coming out, it's good to probably pick them up fast.
So for this particular set, just for those that are interested, the flip sides are we have a Sikorsky, we have an Eenie, I believe that's how that's pronounced, Kotick, a Meanie, Beni, and a Lockheed. So
basic token creatures. Nice. Pretty convenient, huh?
Very convenient. Very nice. Looks great. And that was Heroclix X-Men Rise and Fall. I had a lot of fun. What did you think, Mark?
I had a good time. It's always fun opening boosters, man. It's always a good time.
Boosters are great.
Yeah.
We need to get this on the table soon. What do you think?
I think that sounds like a good future episode. Let's do it.
Great. If you folks liked what you saw, please like and subscribe down below. Thank you so very much. We hope to see you again soon.
Take care. Thank you.
Bye-bye.